Hey guys, sorry it's been a wild 24 hours. I'm finally getting this video made. Alright, so we're going to go over 6.2, finding a line of fit. So if you recall earlier this year, we've talked all about equations and functions and how to read them and how to interpret the slope and the y-intercept. So that's what we're going to be working with today. So the line of fit is a line that we are going to create that makes, or that is close to, a y equals mx plus b equation. Okay, so it says the best line of fit, or the line of fit, is a line drawn on a scatter plot close to most of the data points. It can be used to estimate data on a graph. So if you look here, I plotted all of these points, and I chose to do a line that started at the actual y-intercept, and I tried to hit as many of the dots as I could. So I did a pretty good job with these ones. These ones are a little off, but that's okay because here I got 4 and my 1 here. So I actually got 5 of the dots, which is pretty good. Now, yep, that's how that goes. Okay, so we need to write an equation for the best line of fit. Meaning we need to create a y equals mx plus b equation, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Now, in this line of fit, my y-intercept happens to be given to us, and it happens to fall in line with a bunch of the dots. So that means I am going to use this y-intercept, meaning where my line crosses the y-axis, which means my b is going to be 20, because when my x is 0, my y is 20. So now I just have to figure out my slope, okay, which is my m. Remember that for slope, you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, to find the slope on your line of fit, you need to choose 2 lines that are on your line of fit. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one right here, my 0, 20, and also let's choose this one right here. That would be my 7, 7. So that means my ordered pairs are 0, 20 and 7, 7. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a slope equation. So that would be 20 minus 7 over 0 minus 7 to end up giving us 13 over negative 7, which is, so the slope would be negative 13 over 7, okay? Or you could simplify it to 1 and whatever, okay? But I'm going to leave it in the slope like this. So that means in my equation, my slope is going to be y equals negative 13 over 7 x plus b. Now, if you signed into you tuned into the one yesterday, the live version, you would have seen that on my line of fit from yesterday, because I chose 2 different ordered pairs, my slope actually ended up being a little different. We have negative 2 over 1. However, if I simplified negative 13 over 7, it would be 1 and, whatever, 1, almost minus 2. Okay, so even though my slopes aren't exactly the same, they're pretty similar. Oh, I'm also just realizing I forgot to put in my y-intercept. Sorry, that should be 20. Okay, now we need to interpret the slope and the y-intercept of the best line, or of my line of fit that I have created. So what that is going to tell me, or what we are going to do, is you are just going to interpret or tell me what these things actually mean in real life. So in my y-intercept, we have 0 and 20. That's my y-intercept. So all I'm doing is figuring out what my x and my y are and telling people. So that means at 0 months, my depth equals 20 feet. Yep, that's the unit. Okay, so that is interpreting my y-intercept. Okay, now if you are taking this y-intercept, or sorry, if you're interpreting the slope, you can do it a couple of ways. So you can either say that every time you have a depth of, or every 7 months, you have about a depth of -13, which would mean that we take away 13 from 20, which actually gives us 7. So that actually makes sense. So that means after 7 months, you will have a -13 foot depth. Okay, you could also simplify this to the unit rate, which just means that you are putting a 1 on the bottom, meaning you would divide both of these by 7. So you'd end up with, oh crap guys, now I gotta get my phone out. Calc 13 divided by 7. Okay, so I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth. So that would mean that -13/7 is about 1 9/10, which is the same as negative 1 9/10 over 1. If I were going to interpret this slope, it would say, remember that my x's are months, so this one would be after 1 month, you have a -1.9 foot depth. Okay, meaning we go down 1 and 9. Yeah, okay. So either way you interpret the slope, I'm fine with it. Okay, whether you want to give me the unit rate version or whether you just want to interpret a slope that you create. Okay, now we need to predict the depth at month 9. So it is important to remember that month is my x. So that means in my equation, y equals, and I'm going to keep this simplified one, -1.9x plus 20. I'm going to substitute this x with a 9. So this ends up being y equals 1.9 times 9. You end up getting -17.1 plus 20, which ends up giving you y equals 17.1 minus 20. Oh my gosh. There we go. Which ends up giving us it would be a positive 2.9, and then I would add my unit of feet. So this would mean at 9 months, I am predicting we would have a height of about 2 9/10 feet. Okay, so that is the line of fit. Now I'm going to stop this video now. Some of you did request that I do the backside, so I will do a second video for the backside, but I just wanted to give you at least this first video first. So if you don't need to watch the next one, if you feel like you're good, then you're good. All right, thanks guys.